up, everybody? Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the pod. Welcome to Supforce Live. It is episode 9. That's right. Kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 podcasts. We took a break for 2 weeks for the holidays to let everybody spend some time with family, as we feel it's really important for that. And really thank you all for coming out in full force. It's a special stream because we are going to speak to our featured creator. She is a makeup artist, a streamer extraordinaire. She does it all. And let's see, Yeet, my first Supforce Live podcast. Yeet, nice. AJ, Lynette, Yeet, Deb. Thank you guys for coming out. Really appreciate it. We're here to speak to a wonderful person. Kate is an amazing makeup artist. Some of the designs that she does, I don't know how she does them. She is phenomenal, and really happy to have her as our featured creator and have her here on the pod. So, ladies and gentlemen, I give you the one, the only, KatertotPepperspray.
Hey!
How are
Hi,
you
thank
today?
you. That was an awesome opener. Thank you very much.
You are very welcome. A bit froze right now. There we go.
Better?
We are good. There we are.
We don't need an IT department.
Ladies and gentlemen, KatertotPepperspray. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing awesome.
Good. Well, I'm very
Yeah.
happy to have you here. It's wonderful that you're able to make time for us and to talk to the great people out there, talk to the Supforce family. We're going to let them get to know you a little bit better. And
Thank you for the opportunity. This is amazing.
yeah, not a problem at all. It's one of the perks of, being the featured creator as well. So exactly. So, Kate, why don't you go ahead and just tell the people a little bit something about yourself, and yeah, we'll talk.
I am old enough where I don't want to tell you how old I am, but I've been doing hair and makeup for 20 years, professionally. So it wasn't that hard to make a leap to do it streaming. Most of the time when I told people I was going to start streaming, they said, "So you're going to do hair and makeup?" And I was like, "No, I'm going to play games." And then at first I was like playing it for a while, and I was like, I don't really care for shooters. I guess I can play games here or there, but there wasn't really a niche.
Right.
So I just started painting every once in a while, and then it became more and more, and now I mostly do face and body painting. I still do a game stream every once in a while with my daughter. I refer to her as Nugget. A lot of people like the Nugget streams. And those ones we usually do like Sims or things like that.
Right. Awesome.
She
Rabble
kills people with
says,
Baby Yoda.
Rabble says, so she's a solid 21.
Yes, they licensed me at 1.
And everybody's sitting there saying congrats on being featured creator.
Thank you, everybody.
I think it was an easy pick. I mean, you are an amazing content creator, and we're gonna share out your Instagram here and look at some things and talk about them. Cool. But what I want to talk to you about first is tell us about what drove you into. I don't want to talk really about the streaming, but like the actual makeup artistry that you do. I know you say you do hair and makeup professionally. Like, what started it? What drove you to that area?
I started doing makeup on the little boys in the neighborhood. So the thing when I was about 5 or 6 was if I sent them home with a makeup black eye and their mom called my mom, I was like, score. So I always liked doing special effects. I always liked trying to give people bloody lips, and most of the people in my neighborhood were boys, so they don't want to be made up glam.
Right.
So I would try to do as much special effects as I could. I thought about doing that part as the career, but the hours suck.
Right.
You're at somebody else's willpower on when they want you to work, where I schedule my own appointments and work when I want to work for doing hair and makeup. So I always liked that artistry side of it. And it's really easy to paint a face. The hardest part with like doing a portraiture is putting the eyes and the nose and the mouth in the proper proportions. Like most people don't realize that your eyes are about halfway up your head.
Yeah.
They're like right in the middle. So it's like they're 2/3 of the bottom is your face, up to your eyebrows, a third is your forehead, another part is past your hairline. You know, like, so when you get those proportions already done,
Right.
it's just coloring. It's easy.
Nice.
So, yeah, so I like doing that. I wanted to, right out of high school, I wanted to be an EMT and be a paramedic, that kind of thing. So I wanted to go into medical. Because whenever anything scary happened or anything, time would slow down versus speeding up.
Right.
So I could keep calm. Problem is, I'm 5'3", and I graduated high school at about 110 pounds. So carrying people up and down stairs, stuff like that, a little bit rough.
Right.
And I would sit in classes all day, and I would just stare at everybody's back of their heads. And I was working part-time as a hairstylist already, and I just would always wanted to go back there.
Okay.
So I would rather see people on their best day than to see them at their worst. And I've earned the nickname Pepper Spray. So
Okay.
I probably am not a good matchup for people at their worst. Because if they yell at me, I'm yelling back.
Ah, gotcha.
So it's better for me to be around people on their best day when they're happy and they're looking beautiful, and I can kind of heal them from the outside in.
Gotcha. So obviously the top part is probably because you're height challenged, we'll say.
The top part actually became so my daughter, calling her Nugget, she one day, my real name is Kate,
Right.
so she started calling me KatertotPepperspray because I called her Nugget.
Okay.
And I didn't want people to know her real name, so I started calling her Nugget, which is about 2 or 3 gaming, and she started calling me KatertotPepperspray
Okay.
because it just went well with tots and nuggets.
Right. Exactly.
Also, yeah,
you go
short
together.
stature, who doesn't love potatoes?
So
delicious.
you said you earned the nickname Pepper Spray, so let's hear that.
I have I'm known for a slightly abundance of honesty.
Okay.
So if somebody, if you say something like, hey, do I look good in this? I'll be like, you should change this, or this about it. But I won't say like, bitch, you're fat. But like, I will say like, maybe change this, or this. But if somebody were to like say, you know, I'm this, or this, I will give it right back. So my husband actually is the one who gave me the nickname Pepper Spray. Because he said when I get mad, I get real flash in the pan mad. I'm real mad real quick, and then it fades real quick. I don't hold grudges.
Okay.
I don't keep things bottled up. I just let it out and then it's done.
Gotcha. Very, very good. It fits very well. So you mentioned your husband. How long have you guys been married?
We have been married for 12 years. I've known him since I was 14.
Oh.
So he was 16, I was 14. We were friends most of that time, though.
Okay, so not high school sweethearts.
No.
Okay.
Well, we dated briefly in high school, but we had an organized breakup. This is the dumbest thing ever. So we dated for a little bit, and we said, well, we have to break up, because if you stay in a relationship from like beginning of high school all the way through, you'll inevitably break up. There'll always be like the grass is always greener. Maybe there's something else out there.
Right.
So we had a breakup for 4 years, and then our moms actually orchestrated us running back into each other, and we ran back into each other. We hung out that day. We never stopped hanging out again.
So kind of a reverse Parent Trap on you guys?
Yeah. Yeah. She found out he was working at a restaurant. My mom did, from his mom, and they ordered carry out. And then had me pick it up. And my mom was sitting right there, and she's like, Kate would like your number. And I was like, Mom, it's my ex-boyfriend. and he's like, well, I was going to give it to her, but I felt a little presumptuous in front of her mom. So he gave me,
Right.
I gave him the number. We hung out. He called me that day, and I was like, aren't you going to do like the 3-day wait thing? And he's like, I don't do that. And I was like, okay, cool.
Right.
So
nice.
He's very honest as well. We're kind of known for being the honest couple, even to the point of character assassination if need be.
That's great. How old is the Nugget?
Nugget is 11. She'll be 12 next month.
Oh, you're getting to that age. You're getting to that age where it's going to be trouble.
Yeah, my teenager advice, though, is from my mom. She said, girls slam doors, they carry on. Everything is premeditated. Everything is, I hate you, and screaming, and every thought that goes through their head is voiced out of their mouth. And it can be really hurtful. But boys don't know what step comes next always, so they'll tell you they love you and come home in a cop car. And I was like, okay. She's like, so it was easier having a girl. Just let them shout it out.
Right. Well,
Do you?
speaking from experience, my daughter is 18, going to be 19.
Wow.
She's in her freshman year at CMU. So
Nice.
yeah, she goes back this Sunday from the holiday break, and yeah, it's been quite an adventure. But I consider myself very lucky for how good she's been. You know, I haven't had any problems or anything else.
No cop cars in your
No,
past,
not
huh?
yet.
All
Not
right.
yet.
All right. Well, she's probably over the cop car hump. We never know.
Yeah, you just
She probably learned how to avoid
she's
that.
pretty level, you know. So
Just the one child?
yeah, just the one girl, and you know she's you know, every kid has their ups and downs, but I mean pretty much we've gotten very lucky with her. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
So let's say, Kate, you're not gonna stream, you're not doing anything with that. What's a fun time for Kate? What does Kate like to do in her free time besides spend time with the Nugget, of course?
Of course, spend time with the Nugget. I do game quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I play a lot of Elder Scrolls Online, a lot of time suckers like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a miniaturist, so I make 1/12 scale miniatures.
Okay.
So like dollhouse size
Mm-hmm.
miniatures. So we're actually going to be starting to do keycaps and things like that, where it's like your mechanical keyboard, you can replace a key with something that Nugget and I make
Right.
eventually. So a little crafting here and there, but I don't have a lot of downtime. I work a full-time schedule.
Yeah.
I stream 2-3 days a week, and then I game in between. So
Gotcha.
ideally, I would do more.
Right.
I used to read a lot, but my joke always was, I'm not reading a book unless somebody apps in it. So, so like, don't send me Oprah's book club recommendations. I'm not reading them.
Safe to say you've gone through the 50 Shades series.
Yeah, I read 2 out of the 3.
Oh, okay.
I was like, I tried it. It wasn't my favorite.
Understand. Not your cup
Yeah.
of tea.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I read through the whole Harry Potter series, which I love. I read through the Hunger Games series.
Me too.
And I've also read through I don't know if you know what the Dragon Rider series is. It's the Aragon series.
Okay, yeah, I actually am familiar with it, but I didn't read it.
Yeah, I read all 5 books of that, and those, like, a lot of them are like this big, like
Yeah.
almost Lord of the Rings size. And I just was amazed that a 14-year-old who started the series wrote through all the books.
That's crazy.
It was amazing about it. But I mean, those are really the things that I've read. I don't really read too much because when I'm not, you know, doing anything else, I'm right here in the seat, grinding away, trying to, you know,
Well, you
grab
picked
that
some good
illustrious brass ring, you know.
Yeah.
What drove you to actually doing? Because we're gonna pull up your Instagram here, but the actual ideas that you have and that for your makeup designs that you've done, like what drove you to like start doing this stuff specifically?
I did a little fantasy makeup just in my chair. So every October, I have a thing where I do a special where I will, up to an hour long, $20, I'll make you into whatever you want. So I would do that every October, and I would be booked completely through. So I would do it sometimes on myself, just to like hone a skill, do a shading correctly, or things like that.
Right.
Some of them are prompted by challenges from body painting groups and streamer groups. You might be familiar with that with Madly and and stuff like that. There's a lot of like, there's a big community out there where they're kind of like, everybody does this or everybody interprets this, and it keeps your skills fresh. So some of them are brought on by that.
Right.
But most of them, it's just like, it seems like it'd be neat. I try not to do anything that anybody's done before. I try not to do direct copies. I try to wing everything as best as I can.
Right.
If I plan it too much, I've realized it turns out bad. If I wing it, it turns out better.
Okay.
So occasionally I'll have a couple pictures on my phone of things that I want. Like I did one yesterday that was my first UV paint, and it was all deep sea creatures. So I had a picture of an anglerfish and I had a picture of, you know, the different things like that. But I try to keep them somewhat realistic pictures, and then just try to copy them.
You know what? Give me 1 second here. The pod's going to go away for 1 second, guys, because the alerts are coming through. I did turn them all down, so I want to refresh them. Yep. Hold on here.
You're like, sounds like a casino in there.
Yeah, it is starting to sound like it. All right. All right, we're back. I went and refreshed the alerts and that, so we shouldn't have a problem with them now. So let's look into. We're gonna look into it here. We'll start from the beginning, or well, not the beginning. The most recent is what we'll say.
Okay.
So obviously, here we are with our ugly Christmas sweater.
Yeah, that one was. They wanted to do, from one of my groups, wanted to do Santa's Little Helper was the challenge. So I thought it would be fun. I hadn't seen anybody really do Christmas sweater.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried to do a Christmas sweater. So I kind of, anybody that watched it saw that I was like wiping off an arm and redoing it, because it takes a little bit more technical skill to do that one than I anticipated. So it ended up being fine, but there is a running joke with all of my paint streams that I sneak a penis in every one. Because it ended up being that one time when I was making a snake, it looked very phallic-like.
Okay.
So it ended up being a running joke that we had to sneak one in into every single one. So the joke is that it's a three-legged moose.
Ah.
So other than that, I knew I was going to put a moose on it, but other than that, I kind of winged it.
Nice. So next one here, would you like to?
Predator.
Yeah. And I really like this one. I think the detail is great, and it's amazing the detail in the mouth where you can't. I mean, unless you really look, you can see your lips. But other than that, I mean, it just looks amazing that way.
Thank you. Yeah, that one. The hardest part was the forehead.
Yeah.
I had to paint my own hair, so if you actually look closely, you can see hair through his forehead.
You can see a little bit of it up here.
But that was because my daughter Nugget she's very atypical. She's gonna be 12, but she reads at like a 10th, 11th grade reading level.
Okay.
She's like a 40-year-old woman trapped in like this little kid body. So she likes things that not everybody else likes, and she wanted to be Predator for Halloween.
Okay.
So that was me painting my face as a practice run for her.
Aww.
So I actually painted her as Predator later on the next day.
Gotcha. Now, has she entered into Halloween costume contests?
No, she never has. And
no?
I think that she would like it. She doesn't have, I have this huge stage fright thing.
Okay.
So it's actually kind of ridiculous that I do this as a hobby. Because I didn't have my picture taken for about 10 years.
Okay.
Like, I avoided every picture. I did that typical mom thing where you can't take my picture. But she's like, yeah, I could do that. I'll do a talent show. Like, it doesn't bother her. She'll public speak.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I get back sweats just thinking about it. And she's just like, yeah, I can do that.
Right.
So I think she could.
Our next one here.
That's a phallic snake. That's the one that started the, when I was first painting it, you know, on the thumbnails on Twitch,
right.
It paused it right where it was just an outline. And it was outlined in beige, and it just looked like I drew a dick on my chest. So, and another thing is Nugget's favorite word is penis. So it's always been a joke. She thinks it's the funniest thing that's ever existed.
Well, I did notice one of the pictures in here. Hopefully we'll get, I'm going to pull it up and we're going to talk about it that I saw.
Okay.
Yes, the Easter egg.
Yeah.
And here we go.
Mm-hmm. That one is one of my favorite ones because when I send it to most people, they think I'm wearing a shirt. But I'm not. I'm actually like pretty much topless. That's all painted on. So that's what I like about it is that it fools people at first because they're like, "Oh, cool scratches," and I'm like, "Yeah, but the backpack and the hiking outfit." They're like, "Oh, I didn't realize that at first." I'm like, "Yeah."
That is awesome.
So I was trying to do like some of my favorite horror movies. Oh. That one was American Werewolf in London.
Okay.
This one, I just wanted to do something quick. Broken dolls are easy.
Right.
Yep.
This one's frightening.
Yeah, that one freaks people out, especially with I have a life-size Cryptkeeper that
Okay.
a client gave to me. He's in the background,
Yeah.
creepy over there. Um, so that one was actually going really mediocre. I wasn't real impressed with it. I was kind of like annoyed while I was doing it that it was like the clown base on it was really creamy and it was dulling out all the pigment. So then I just squirted blood on my teeth and then it got way creepier.
So we got to stop for a second because you said Clive gave you the Crypt Keeper. Is that what I heard?
No, a client.
Oh, clients. Okay.
Yeah, a client.
Okay,
Sorry.
gotcha.
I'm a
No worries.
mumbler.
And of course, the iconic
Chucky.
Chucky,
Yeah.
which is
Chucky
good.
was another one of those ones where the lines were rough, but
Right.
other than that, it was pretty easy. Trying to make my best Chucky face.
I'm going to tell you this because the way you painted it and everything, it's like you put your head on a doll. It does look like you put your head on a doll.
That one, actually, Nugget helped me a little bit with that one, too. She painted the good guy logo on my
Okay.
chest and stuff because it's hard to do in a mirror.
I was going to say, too, is that I know that I think it was AJ put in there is how difficult do you find it when you're doing painting like this on stream and stuff and actually paying attention to your chat and answering questions?
I'll sometimes get in the zone and lose it for a little bit. I've had a couple people where they'll drop a couple bits and they'll be like, "Notice me, senpai." I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry. But typically, I'm not super popular, so like it's not hard to keep up with chat. It's not reeling around like 100 miles an hour or anything like that. I'm like pretty low level streamer, so it's not too hard to keep up with.
Well, we're going to change that these next 2 weeks. We're going to get you a following because you definitely deserve it with these designs
Thank
that you do.
you.
And as you can
Yep.
everybody see, that's the doll. And then
Yep. There's me.
talk about this one because I found
This
this to be
one
really
was a
interesting.
challenge. Yep, this one was a challenge stream. I don't mean it was a challenge to do, it was a challenge stream. So they said, one of my groups said, everybody needs to pick a 7 deadly sin
Okay.
and paint it. So half of me is wrath and half of me is greed. So
Okay.
one half has very medieval looking armor and war paint, and the
Right.
other half has gold and jewels. So that was one of those ones that I just tried to crank out pretty quick. A lot of the challenges I try to get out, but
Okay.
that one I really liked how the shading turned out. So
Mhm.
that made me realize that's when I started doing the clown one and stuff and doing the lacing.
Right.
That's how I knew how to do it. It's like that's how you build your skill set.
Right.
It's like, okay, shading a chain isn't that far from shading a lace on a neck, you know?
Right. I mean, you can definitely see, some of the. I mean, not that anything is bad. It's just you can see a little bit more of the progression coming through that you definitely learned as you went along too.
And that one got interrupted, actually. Nugget was having a really bad day that day. I bribed her and told her if she went to sleep on her own early, that I would bribe her with some sort of present. And she got herself so worked up that she wasn't falling asleep that Hubs came down at one point and was like, "You got to call it. She's super upset. She just wants, she just wants to, find out what the thing
Right.
was. She's so upset about it." So I was going to cover like the greed side with a nose ring that was gold. I was going to have like a lot more jewelry, like an arm cuff,
Hmm.
earrings, all kinds of stuff, but I just had to call it.
Right. No, it's amazing. Even if you
Mom
did cut it
first.
short, you know. And everybody should know this. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're a gamer, you know this series, obviously.
Yeah, that one was a challenge from a viewer. So he asked me to pick 3 female Borderlands characters. He just asked that one of them be Maxie.
Okay.
So he is one of my people that have he's subbed since the beginning and stuff like that. So I wanted to do like hook him up. So I did a series with Gage, Maya, and Maxie. So, yep, there's Maxie. That was his biggest request one he liked the most.
Right.
And that one was my least favorite out of the 3 because it was one of those ones where I liked painting the clothes on,
Right.
but her makeup is subtle enough where the more subtle it is, it's actually harder
Right.
to transform your face without a lot of, like if she had a full face tattoo, you'd be like, oh, that's her. But when it's really more subtle like that, it makes it a lot harder.
I got you. I hear what you're saying there. And of course, lovely Cedar Point, top Thrill Dragster.
Yeah. I was just watching this going, nope. This one was, we had to pick something from the 80s that was a superhero, and I figured everybody was going to go with Wonder Woman or something along those lines, so I picked the villain from She-Ra.
Oh, yeah.
So it's Catra, and it was another one of those ones where there was little to it, and it was an 80s animation, so there's like, the fan art was actually better than the original art, so it was hard, but it's like funny when you look back here, I even see how I would have done it different. That's one of my favorite series of all time. I love Bioshock.
Bioshock, yes.
So
this is a series that I love so much I bought it twice because I had to buy the remastered when they redid it and everything for Xbox, and played through all three of them one right after another for a solid like 2 weeks.
I bought it 3 times because I had it for PlayStation 3, then I bought it for PlayStation 4 remastered, and I bought it for PC.
See, I believe I played it on, I just played it through on Xbox. But let me ask you this, because there's a big debate on which one is better. And I was always the one that said, original is the best, but I didn't really play Infinite. And then I played through Infinite, and I thought Infinite was amazing.
Yeah.
I thought it was
one of those things that are
so
underrated.
To me.
Yeah, they're so different to me, and I think that people wanted that nautical feel so much that they looked past how amazing it was. And one of the favorite things about Infinite was the DLCs were stellar.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they were like some of the best, they might be the best DLCs I've ever played in a game. You go back and you actually go back into was it 1959?
Yeah.
When the whole
before Rapture went through. Yeah.
Yeah, and get to walk around Rapture and stuff like that. It was amazing, and it also brought the whole thing together. So you understood what all those little things meant through all of them. I think it was completely necessary, and I liked it. Actually, if not the best, I think it's up there with the best.
The whole ending of Infinite 2, even without the DLCs, was just like, it was a complete mindfuck where you were just like, oh my god.
Yeah. Well, because the whole time, usually when you have a male and a female and I won't ruin it if anybody hasn't played it, even though it's like an 8-year-old game.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert. But most of the time when you have a male and female in any game or movie or anything like that, they end up together.
Right.
So when it was like all of a sudden you started putting the pieces together, you were like, oh, you actually felt kind of dirty.
Yeah.
Like even just like you were just kind of like you felt kind of skeeved out because the way they did it, and it was just like everybody has the same reaction where they're kind of like, oh.
When the cutscenes were going, I was just like sitting there like this, like, are you serious right now? We're actually watching this?
Yeah, did this really just happen?
But then you're like, it makes so much sense.
And then you start picking the little things all the way down the line.
And of course.
Yeah, and that one was a request as well. So I wanted to do a little sister, but I've gotten better actually at doing the eyes closed eyeball thing, but like this time I would have done it with like an eyelash on top and things like that to make it look more real, but I thought it was nice, like unsettling.
Now, on your first playthrough through the first Bioshock, did you sacrifice them or did you save them?
I've always saved them.
The very first time I played it, I saved them all, and then my second playthrough in the remastered, I sacrificed them all just because I wanted to see
what happened.
The alternate in that.
That's how I played every Fallout, because every Fallout has usually like a good, neutral, or bad set of achievements. And so I would always play them good first, and then I'd just be the worst on the second playthrough, so that way I could just annihilate everybody. But there was something about holding like the little girl in your hand that I just couldn't do it. I was just like, it's upsetting. I can't do it.
Oh, the second playthrough, I felt dirty. I felt wrong.
It's like, oh.
But let me ask you this, since you're obviously a Fallout fan as well. What did you play, and what do you think of Fallout 76?
Played it, still play it, love it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I played it in the beta, and even when everybody else played it in beta, they loved it. Even reviewers and stuff like that were saying like it was they didn't like that there wasn't human NPCs,
Yeah.
but you've always kind of dealt with a lot of robots and stuff like that in Fallout World.
Right.
You've always dealt with a lot of like mutants and things like that in Fallout World that were your NPC group. So it didn't bother me. But as soon as the game actually launched, it had tons of technical problems. It was almost unplayable.
Right.
So it lost 90% of the people that were really excited about it right in the very beginning, and then they just didn't come back. But like at Christmas time, they had it where if you killed Scorched, you could hear jingle bells. And you would, every time your gun was pointed at one of them that was dressed like either Santa, Mrs. Claus, or was wearing holiday jammies,
Right.
it would hear jingle bells, you'd shoot them, and they'd have a gift on them. And most of the time it was like coal and vodka or whatever. But like, you got to open up all these presents. Like,
Nice.
they continue to support that game in a really awesome way, considering it. So many people that haven't played it have said how much they hate it. But a lot of people that did play it only played in that first little bit where it was technically having a lot of problems.
Now I have it and I played it before they did like I think the second update where they really fixed a lot is what I heard, and like subsequent updates since then it's come a long way since the beginning. I just got distracted. My problem is games like that. I love them for a while and then something else come on and I'm like, oh, I want to play that, and then
Yeah,
next thing you
shiny,
know,
shiny.
yeah,
Yeah, me too.
squirrel.
Me too. Yeah,
So.
I have a hard time maintaining focus. So, I have just hopped in because I'll have like a base of friends in each game,
Right.
and then I'll get messages like, "Hey, come play with us." So then I'll play it for a little while, and then I'll be like, "Oh, this is super awesome," and then I'll go to a different thing and play that for a while. But
Right. Now, favorite Fallout game out of the series?
Fallout 3.
Yeah?
Fallout 3 is my favorite, and yeah, I really liked it. I was scared to play it because I thought it was so dark.
Okay.
It is one of the darker ones, as far as like general mood of everything that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked running around DC. I liked running through the subway system. When you go to DC after you've played out Fallout 3, it's unsettling because you walk into the subway stations, they look exactly the same. I guess they just went and just completely mapped out the city, and it's, I think, laid out like much better than some of the other ones.
Right.
Where like New Vegas and things like that, by the time they came along, it's supposed to be far enough down the pike where they just basically just scramble together a bunch of stuff or whatever in Fallout lore. But it didn't have the same feel that like actually going to Vegas did,
Right.
where it felt like a decimated city when you were in DC. What was yours?
I would say Fallout 3. I love New Vegas. New Vegas is probably number 2. But I do love 3. When I played 4, I was so pumped for it. You know, I got it on the night.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is before I started doing digital buys, and I actually went to GameStop at midnight to get it and got the strategy guide and everything else, and I started playing it, and I'm just kind of like, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's cool.
I was underwhelmed too, and I couldn't put my finger on it.
Right, exactly.
I don't know what it was. It was just, I don't know if the quests weren't pulling me in or what, but it just didn't have the same draw. Like, you know, in I think it was New Vegas that you come across a vault and it has like the Gary vault.
Right.
Where everybody's named Gary and they're clones of each other or something like that. It's just like very unsettling and creepy, and you wanted to know more about why it was happening, what was going on there. And I felt like in Fallout 4, it never really drew you into caring. You're kind of just trying to get through the motions to level up, to do stuff, but you never really cared why the quest was there or what was going on.
Right. No, I completely agree with you. Oh.
That's one of my nieces that was born. We did the pedal bikes in Detroit.
Nice.
Have you ever done that? Super fun.
You're talking about the pedal bars?
Yeah, the pedal pubs.
Yeah, I didn't. I've seen them all around, and I know the one I want to do. Have you seen the pedal boats?
I have heard about the pedal boats. The pedal boats, you have to have a full boat, though.
Yeah, you need to, because otherwise it's gonna.
And they want you to have your entire party rents the entire boat.
Right.
We totally filled up a pedal pub and even had to tell people that they couldn't go. So it wouldn't be a problem.
Right.
But I know other people that just like they want to do it as two couples have been upset that they can't just be a part of another party with other people.
Right. And then here we go.
That one was a challenge that was Dark Fables. So this one was kind of thrown together. It was kind of one of those ones where I told them I would do it, and I just tried to make the candy corn mouth and all that stuff as being like Hansel and Gretel type witch.
Right.
But I think the entire stream was about an hour. So I would love to redo that one, and actually put forth a little bit more effort into it.
Okay. And then, let's go here, because this is the before. It says Bentley makeup starting soon, and then it goes to that.
Yeah. So that one was old Hollywood Universal movie monsters was the theme.
That's awesome.
So I chose the original Mummy. So I wanted it to have a really Egyptian feel to it. I didn't want it to be too like gory or trying to be too modern Mummy. I wanted it to have kind of like, you could really see this as being a cursed human more than anything else. So I did kind of more of a block style Egyptian paint.
And I'm sorry, chat, I'm not ignoring you. I just can't see any chat right now because of my two screens that I have everything up on it. So we'll be back to you in a little bit, because I believe we're coming up to the one picture that we're going to probably end with. Nugget made all these pictures.
Yeah, and actually one of the cat was for Speltzers. Because anybody that donated or did any bits or anything like that, she drew a picture for them.
Aw.
And he actually took the cat and made it one of his emotes. So the little smelly cat, it is drawn by Nugget.
Nice. And this is your setup, I take it?
Yeah, that's my setup. It's an old woodworking bench.
Nice.
I'm in a woodworking room right now. It's in my old house.
And okay.
That one was comic book heroes and villains. So that one was Two-Face from Batman. That's when I first started realizing that grease paint does not translate well on stream.
Okay.
So the colors just don't pop. Things become kind of muted together. Things look too shiny where you want them to be flat. So that's when I started switching over to our, we use like a pancake makeup. You have to get it wet. So I have one here. You can kind of see it's like a little disc. Okay. It's dry. We spray it with water, and then that's what I use to paint. So it's more like watercolors, less like acrylic paint.
Gotcha. Parade Company.
Yep, New Orleans, one of my favorite places.
Come on, where is it? Where is it? There it is!
Nugget's favorite word! So everybody has known it's been her favorite word. And she was given an egg. And yeah, I dipped the egg, pull it out, and I realized it says penis on it.
So you're just, I get it. So she wrote on the egg, dipped it, and you're just highlighting what it
I highlighted
says.
So that people could read it, that's what it said. Because, yeah, it all started with a thing where she had asked, kind of like where babies come from kind of a thing.
Right.
And she had said, one time, she was like, so how did they know I was a girl when I was born? And I was like, well, they looked at your genitalia and they could tell you're a girl. And she was so offended. She was like, oh. And I was like, well, it's not like you were wearing pants and they took them off. You were born naked. Like they could see everything. And she was like, and she did that typical kid thing where she asked a question that she knew the answer to already.
Right.
So she said, well, what would I have had if I was a boy? So Hubs is like, well, you would have had a penis. And she just went hysterically laughing for about 25 minutes. Then all of a sudden she catches her breath and she goes, penis. And it's been her favorite word ever since. If anybody asks her what is her favorite word, and it's a funny word. It's such a weird word for what it is. And it's like, it's one of those like penis. Like it's just such a weird word to say and stuff. So technically it's correct and everything, but she's always just like, if you ask her, doesn't matter where she is.
Right.
You'd be like in church, like, what's your favorite word? She's like, penis.
Nice.
She has very little filters, just like me.
Okay, so going back and reading through the chat, see what we missed. Thank you, everybody, for the donations. I really, really appreciate it.
Yay, give me money.
See.
Hell's
House. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. And then we got Kaylee says she's so talented, which yes, she is.
Thank you.
Rebel says dope. Dr. Open Seed says that's dope. Haha, that's amazing. Holy shit, that's impressive. Love this one. I'm here. Makeup artists are badass. Oh my god, this still blows my mind. It's so awesome. That's freaking awesome. Crazy Gaming, thank you for the follow. Let's see here. The spider is absolutely amazing from Kaylee. AJ says I love Chucky. Rebel says one of my favorites. Where to follow him? I dumped the Krasik. I went ahead and dumped the her link in the chat for her Instagram. We'll put her Twitter and her Twitch down here in a minute.
Thank you.
And Mr. Rebel says I love her work. Krasik says this is insane.
This is so fun. I love getting compliments. There's somebody else.
Where do I follow her? The Borderlands 3 series is so good, and you did Maxie, who is the best. Desert Rat goes Necromancer. She's on Instagram and Twitch. Says KatertotPepperspray. She did that. Okay, Gage was my favorite. Opie says. Sandusky, Ohio smells like poo is what Amp says. Yes, you're very correct.
It totally does.
Columbus Columbus is even worse.
Oh, is it really?
Columbus is the butthole of America.
I thought the same thing when I went to Toledo.
Infinite had one of the best endings of a game I've ever seen. Opie says it was crazy and blew my mind. VIP Angel of Death goes, who was the worst character in Friends? And Amp says Joey. Every one of them, VIP Opie says. Kaylee says Ross. Tick says, I want to fight you on that, but I won't. Actually, and Kaylee says, actually, to be honest, Rachel. Then Tick says, I'm a huge squirrel. I agree with it being Rachel. Monica, I am Monica. I can't hate her. That's what Kaylee says. 3 is my favorite. I didn't like 4. The base building wasn't for me. What Rabble says about Fallout. Tick says you like Kron. New Vegas is my choice from Cuz Why Not. 4 is good too, I think. Opie says I loved 4. It was the first Fallout I played to completion. I couldn't play through 3. What?
Mm-hmm.
How could you not play through 3? I have noticed
a thing, though, that the people that liked 3 like 76, and the people that liked 4 don't like it. It's been a thing that I've kind of taken a little miniature survey on.
Right. I love all the Fallout, but ... Tick says. He doesn't say anything else. Gonna be Red White Candy, though. I like that. That's cool. I like Creepy Candlin. I did that collab with you, Marina says.
Yeah.
Let's see. Never Winner Perfect World. D-Bag, thank you for the 1 diamond. Cuz Why Not? Thank you for the 1 ice cream. Kaylee, thank you for the 1 ice cream as well. Drop that. The Molinator 69, thank you for the follow. Really appreciate it. Amp says, let's just say all of Ohio. Yes, all of Ohio is the butthole of America.
Sorry, Ohioans.
Although I do love Cedar Point. I love Cedar Point.
It is so fun.
All right. So, everybody, if you have some questions for Kate, please line them up in the chat. We'll get through them all. Just start lining them up. We're going to keep talking here. Now, what made you decide to actually stream doing makeup in that? I know you play some games in that, but what made you say, okay, you know what, I want to stream this and show this to the people, especially when you say that you had stage fright and stuff, because that's what I mean. It's putting yourself out there.
It's 2-part. It's 1 to get over that. I at first couldn't watch myself on camera. Even now, you'll see I constantly look away. I don't really like looking at. I have a tendency to, if you look at something too long, you start pulling it apart.
Right.
I do the same thing with myself. So I have some, I wouldn't say as far as body dysmorphia, but if I look at myself long enough, I'll be like, oh, that's right. You know what I mean? I start to do that a little bit, where I would never do that to somebody else. I find the most beautiful part of every single person. I try to highlight it. I look at only beauty in everybody else, and then with myself, I just completely the opposite. So I try to get over that. Try to get over my stage fright fear. Don't like public speaking. And then the other thing was I had a niece that was diagnosed with cancer at the time. And so I just wanted to bring attention to her charities and that kind of thing. So so I figured if I concentrated on it being about her, then I could make myself do it.
Okay.
So Her name was Ella. She was usually links and stuff in my chat, stuff like that. So she passed away a little bit over a year ago. But I now do like Make-A-Wish rides in her name and things like that. So yeah, I guess I don't know if she's much of a reason or a tool, because if I concentrated on her and it not being about me,
Right.
then I was fine. I'm lucky enough in a position enough to make a living at what I do. So I luckily don't need to do Twitch in order to make a living, like
Right.
people that are housebound and stuff like that. It's really sad because it's like it is such a grind
Oh, it is.
that I don't know if I could handle that pressure. So it could be fun and do fun things and paint people's faces, but I don't have that pressure of like providing for my family with it.
The mental
So
fortitude that you need to do that grind to be a full-time streamer, because I mean you can't get to be like Ninja and Shroud and that, or yes, Brose Shroud, overnight. It's a grind, and you have to
they
be
gotta put some
prepared
time
for
in.
it. So
And I think if that was my motivator, if it was like a financial motivator all the time, I think I wouldn't have been able to do it. But just being like, okay, so we did a couple of charity streams for Extra Life in her name. We did ones for Make-A-Wish. So last year I rode 50 miles. In our state, we have the WAM, which is a Wish a mile. So last year I rode 50 miles on a bike in one day. So I did a lot of fundraising for that using my Twitch. And then, and this year I'm doing 300 miles.
wow, in one day?
So yeah, no, in 3 days.
Oh, in 3 days.
So
So that's still
I
100 miles a
will,
day.
yeah, it's 3 century rides in a row. So I will ride from Traverse City, Michigan to Marshall, Michigan over the course of 3 days.
Wow.
So that's, to answer your question, what really made me take that step forward into streaming. It was mostly to raise money for charities and to open it up to a different audience, because where I worked with my cousin who is her mom.
Okay.
So it's basically like fundraising from the same pool. So
Okay.
I just wanted like a different way to meet people and do fundraising and stuff. But like
Right.
people don't have to contribute. It's just one of those things where it's just a thing that motivated me to do it. It's like I needed a reason
Right.
to do it. So it's like it's kind of my reason, but it's not.
It just gave you that gentle push,
Yeah.
to say, okay, yeah, I can do this, I can do this. And now, do you find it like it's nothing now that you've gone through it, or do you still get nervous and stuff?
I don't get I get more nervous with game streams because I feel like I'm not providing enough content.
Okay.
Where if I'm painting, I can just paint for a while if I start to get nervous or something. But like I said, when I was thinking about being AMT, usually if I get nervous, time slows down.
Right.
So I usually get like almost like it peaks up to nervousness and then I drop off and get really calm.
Okay.
So it kind of works in my favor to give me more of a steady hand if I get myself a little bit nervous and then calm down.
Right. Okay, we got a couple questions here. So,
Okay.
VIP Angel wants to know, what is your favorite Harry Potter character?
I mean, I really like Hermione, but I would have to go with Luna Lovegood, I think. And simple reason, it's Nugget's favorite. She became obsessed with Luna Lovegood. She's like kind of like that weird outlier, and so was Nugget. So after she said it was her favorite, then I started paying more attention to her because she's kind of like flies under the radar.
Right.
Doesn't really bring a lot of attention to herself, but is always kind of a good person.
See, I love Sirius.
Sirius
Black
is
is
good
just
too.
amazing, and it broke my heart when.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert: when he died. If you haven't read the books by now or seen the movies,
it's
then
been 20 years.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for you. But yeah, I love Sirius Black. He was my favorite character, and I think Gary Oldman playing him in the movies was amazing and was like
phenomenal.
Perfect
yeah.
pick. And then I would also have to say I love Lupin and Mad Eye Moody. I love them both too.
Well, some of the adult characters have some really selfless attributes. They're very giving and things like that. And the children are like children. Right. Real children are kind of self-serving and things like that. So it's like some of their characters, you're just kind of like, I mean, Harry can be a real jerk sometimes. He can be mean to his friends and stuff like that. But that's what kind of made it realistic too. And I liked when I read it that I was genuinely nervous that Harry was going to get kicked out of school. And
Yeah.
that's not easy to pull off for an adult reader.
No.
Like, I was an adult when they came out. And so I was thinking the whole time, like, if you can make me this nervous, you're doing a really good job.
And that was like some of the first times I really dove deep into a book and was
Mm-hmm.
like angry about like, damn it, why did the movie include this? You know,
Mm-hmm.
I think the one that I was extremely angry about was reading Aragon, like I said, the Dragon Rider series. The very first book,
Mm-hmm.
I was so pumped for this movie to come out because I was like, this book is awesome. It's going to be amazing with the effects and everything else. They can do so much with it. And it was just like, I sat there looking at the screen, watching it, going, and my wife, well, she was my fiance at the time because we weren't married yet at that, but I was sitting there and I'm just like this. And she's like,
Yeah.
"Are you all right? You don't like this?" I'm like, "This fucking sucks." I'm like,
Yeah.
"This is so bad. It's so
Yeah.
bad." And I was
There
so,
is something of being too close to something where you're just like, you feel violated when they don't give you the
yeah,
details that gave the entire mood of it. So unless you can invoke that passion, like, it's
right.
hard to do it because you can't have 12-hour movies.
Oh, exactly.
But it is one of those things where sometimes you wish they could.
Rabble asks, if you could be an animal, what would you be and why?
I'm obsessed with the idea that, like, you have like spirit animals.
Hmm.
So when I've taken tests and things like this, and people agree that I've always gotten a goat. I
Okay.
think it's just like mildly antagonistic and like kind of out there and proud and just like, whatever, I'm gonna stand on this garbage, eat a bag of sticks or whatever. So I can see it, but like my secret envy is to be more like the octopus and just be like elusive and mysterious and smart. But like those are not the qualities I have. So if you're asking like which one would I like to be, I would like to be more octopus. I'm definitely more goat.
I could understand that. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a YouTube channel because I don't know how much you look about octopus, but there's I wanted to say it's called the Octopus Test is the channel, and they like
Oh,
have an
nice.
octopus and they do like experiments with them, not like poking and prodding, but like
Yeah.
problem solving and stuff. Like they they let them like taste something and then they like put the jar on like tight and he had to figure out and there was like a little tiny hole so he knew what was in there and he had to figure out how to get it open and it was just you're sitting there watching it going oh my god he's figuring it out and you can just see
Yeah.
it and they're like extremely smart it's
It's
unbelievable how
crazy. I
smart they are.
saw, yeah, I saw a documentary one time, and it was they had they had a lab, and there was several tanks all around the lab,
Hmm.
and the octopus was on one side, and the shrimp or whatever it wanted to eat were on the other side. And every morning they'd come in, and the shrimp were all gone, or crab, or whatever it was, and the octopus was always back in its tank. So they
Hmm.
were like, well, he wouldn't put himself back. You'd find him in the tank with the crab where they were if it
Right.
wasn't. And so they taped it, and sure enough, like he would go over the top of each tank till he got there, ate them all, and then go back. And then there was another test where they put an octopus inside of a jar, like big pickle jar,
Right.
and it they screwed the lid on and it unscrewed it from the inside.
Yep.
Like that's really sophisticated intelligence
Yeah.
for like, and plus there's another whole other factor of like when they talk about like alien life or things like that. Like there's always a thing like little gray men or whatever. And I was always wondered when I was a kid, like why would they be human like? Like if you're gonna have something that seems like it would actually be a higher level evolution or whatever, it seems like it would
Right.
be more like tentacles and things like that. Why
Right.
wouldn't you have like our big bodies are kind of clunky and weird, so why would it be that? So that's why I started paying attention to them, I guess. And then when I found out they were smart, I'm like, they're aliens. Not really. I don't have any conspiracy theories about
Well,
aliens.
and if you've seen Finding Dory, they drive trucks and stuff. So,
Yeah, case solved. Case solved.
Brose says, question: one food for the rest of your life. What is it?
From a health standpoint or from an enjoyment standpoint? Um, I think from health, it would be lentils because they're like a superfood. I've been obsessed with them lately, especially with all the bike training that I'm having to do. If it was for an enjoyment standpoint, I'd have to say cheesecake.
Nice. So,
Yeah, I was never much of a sweet eater, but cheesecake has always been like that thing, man.
so you go to Cheesecake Factory.
Hmm
What's your choice?
I always let other people pick.
Really?
I'm selfless like that.
Mm.
Yeah, I would probably steer clear of the chocolate ones. They had like a salted caramel one
Mm.
that I tried last time. That was pretty good. And then I've had the key lime one. It's pretty good.
Okay.
But if I was gonna go just based on my own, it would be original, plain. I don't need any fruit on it. I don't need to sprinkle crap on it.
Right.
I just want to eat some cheesecake.
Nice. Let's see. Marina says you're awesome for raising awareness. Amp
Thank
says Gary Oldman is God mode. My favorite actor. He is.
For
He's
sure.
amazing. Brose, Sirius Black is my fave. Angel says, who was worse, Voldemort or Umbridge?
Oh, I hated Underage way
Oh
more.
my god, I could not stand Umbridge.
She seemed like malicious and mean, where Voldemort seemed more like he was just trying to like be selfish and further his own needs,
Mm-hmm.
but he didn't seem malicious, where she was just like getting enjoyment out of causing his life to be uncomfortable and awful. Like, so I just hated her. That's probably my least favorite book because I hated her so much.
That whole scene where she had the quill where he had to write and it was just
On his
inscribing
hand.
on his arm, I was just like, oh, that was just, it was like made my skin crawl because I'm like, that's just ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. He needs to be truly messed up.
Amp says Fifth Element, he played Zorg. Yes, he did.
Mm-hmm.
Opie says Umbridge was the OG Dark Lord. Rabble says Harry is a jerk. Can't tell me different. Opie says the movie was trash. Rabble says the movie was awful. Dr. Opie says so was the Percy Jackson. They butchered it. Yes, they did. And I didn't see the second one. I know they brought out the second one because I read all those books too because I was huge into Greek mythology. I don't know if you've read the books or seen the
Greek
book.
mythology. I didn't read the books, but I love Greek mythology.
I highly recommend you read the Percy Jackson series, and then the guy did an actual subset series with Percy. But it's amazing because being in knowing mythology, you know that there's the Greek, and then there's also the Roman.
Yeah.
Well, his first set was all the Greek, and his second set with Percy Jackson in it was all the Roman gods. So he would meet the god's alter ego, which was the Roman one. So it was just a whole different take on it. It was pretty awesome.
That's pretty inventive. It was one of those things where like most of them were just adaptations from one to the other.
Right.
So making it a whole different series, I think, takes some skill.
Yeah, Rabble says, yeah, Percy Jackson, one of my favorite series, and the movies are hot garbage. They were. Kaylee says turtles are dumb. Let's see here. Octopuses are so smart. Goats have the coolest eyes from Marina. Watch one open a jar on YouTube the other day. Yeah, octopuses both amaze and terrify me from Opie. Yes, they do. They can escape anything bigger than their beaks, which are tiny. Is their beaks only the hard tissue they have? Yep. Let's see. Marina says, if you could only have one makeup product, what would it be?
We actually have a familiar love of this. It would be voluminous mascara. It's the same one I've used for 20 years. And we actually had a discussion in the powder room the other day about it's the cheapest and best makeup product on the market, bar none. They have not raised the price of it. So it's like you can get it on sale for like $5-6. And I've had tons of people that are like using $40 mascaras and I turned them onto it. So I'd probably do that. I have rosacea really bad, so if I was smart, I'd probably say some sort of cover up. But like if I were to wear nothing, this whole side of my face is red. Not birthmark depth, but it's just pink.
Right.
Like it just gets pinker than other stuff. That was another reason why I didn't like my picture taken. But I'd probably do that. But I think I'd just rock it at this point in my life. Like red face, long lashes, suck it.
Let me ask you a question. Is that because there's different. I'm not saying in the makeup world, but just in life in general. Some people say you get what you pay for. Like if you want better products, you got to pay for more money. Where do you stand on like your makeup products that you use? Do you want to try to get the best of the best, or do you find like what you can get at Walmart is just as good as what you can order online?
You have to try. You have to know every single thing. So I try a lot of stuff. There's some things I would say like my face paints, each one of those pucks are about $10 to $15. Those ones have definitely been, you get what you pay for.
Okay.
I would say the most of the time with makeup, if you know what you're looking for, you can go through Ulta and spend no more than $10 a product and be just as nice as the stuff that you spend a lot of money for. but you have to find the diamond in the rough that I wouldn't say that any makeup, like CoverGirl foundation or something, isn't going to be as good as the one that I use, but the one that I use is also only $8.
Okay.
But you wouldn't know unless you tried them all.
Right.
So I try them all.
Okay. Now, when you do like something like, let's just say the most recent one you did, the ugly Christmas sweater, how much product do you go through in something like that? Do you have to reload after something like that, or do you have like enough to where, like, if you go out and set and buy, okay, I need this color, this color, this color, and at the end of it you still have enough that where you can do another one, or you're going to have to run out to the store and get more stuff?
No, with all of the paints that I've done, I've only replaced the black one.
Really?
Yeah.
How long do they last usually for you?
I would say, I mean, I probably started switching over from that grease paint probably 6 months ago. So it's been at least 6 months worth, I would say.
Really?
And a lot of times I'll start off a paint with my whole entire back painted black, because it's weird when you're like watching somebody paint and they're painting their armpit or like trying to reach around and get their back. So a lot of times I'll have things prepped.
Okay.
Where I'll have half my arm done or whatever. I'm pretty clothed compared to like a body painter typically. And that was one of the things I set out when I first started doing this, was that I don't like, it doesn't bother me what anybody else does. But I was going to really make an effort to not use like my sexual being as a person or whatever, not to use like basically as an asset to try to get more people.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to feel good about it at the end of it, that they were there for me. And not just
you're
because
not
I
gonna.
have boobs.
Let's just be honest. You're not gonna throw your boobs out there just to get viewers.
Exactly.
Like some people do. Like the one we watched the other night, Rabble, at their late night staff call.
Yeah, like I would have. People have told me a million times, like, hey, if you dress more provocatively, you'd get more viewers, and I probably would, but it's one of those things where I wouldn't feel good about it. I would just. I don't even like people that are wearing a turtleneck and they dumb themselves down to not being. Like they just try to do that stupid girl role or whatever. Like I don't even like that. This all fits in. But if you're being like confident and whatever, and you want to have all your boobs out, cool. I don't care. But it's just not going to be something that I do.
Right.
Partially, I'm older, and I, don't want one hanging over here and like.
Right. Rebel says I'll be hanging my boobs out.
Yeah. Tape them up. I can show you how to give you more cleavage. Tape and stuff. Done some drag queens in my day.
Well, I don't know if you've seen, hold on, because we're just going to do this. If you've seen Rebel's Instagram.
I love them. I absolutely love them. Please bring them up, especially the one where he's like looking over his shoulder and his bum's hanging out. That one's my favorite.
You mean that one right there?
Oh, it didn't come over. Oh, yeah. that one, there's one where he's laying on his stomach as well.
I told him when I looked at this, I'm like, oh, dude, it looks like you got some goosebumps there. A little chilly in there.
Yeah, a little chilly on that panini press. I thought this was so brilliant, and I just loved everything about it. It made me smile. It was everything that I wanted. It was the best thing I've ever seen.
The funny thing was that I don't know if you know this, but this picture right here, because he tagged the microphone company, they reused it.
Did they really?
And they commented on it, yes. It was the best thing in the world that they did.
That is so good. Yeah.
But it's funny that we were talking about the modeling role, and he's like, that's it. I'm going to be the model.
Yeah.
And
doing it.
He did it.
Yeah, it was awesome.
So, yes, Rabble. Yes, we're featuring you on the pod.
Yep. It was the other side of this one that was my favorite. Like, maybe one more. This one was my favorite. It was just one of those things where I was like, it just exudes confidence. I just love everything about it.
You are awesome, Rebel. We love you.
Yeah.
All right.
And if I looked that good, I probably would do it too.
Oh, my God. Let's see here. Kaylee says, the stupid girl thing is so annoying.
Yeah.
Marina asks.
It's become a joke after a while where people, if I had to make them uncomfortable, I'll do my basic voice. Like, and it's like one of those things, it's hard to do it when you're not even thinking about it, but like somebody was doing it earlier today and I was like, oh my God, the music in the Dominican is so loud. And like, we just like drop it in all the time, but that's always like my interpretation of streamer girls when they just, yeah.
Marina says, name a full body painter you respect.
Um, full body painter, I respect. I mean, most people that do it on stream do waist up. Does that count?
To say that again?
Most people that do it on stream will do waist up.
Mm-hmm.
They won't do legs because
Yeah.
it's kind of hard. But I would say Violet Nacho. I totally respect her. She does it in a very like nonchalant way, even though like she is full frontal nude when she does it. It's not over sexualized. It's not like she's not doing it. She's doing it because it creates a better paint, not because she's like, hey, look at my boobs.
Right. She's not getting up in the cam going,
yeah, she's not playing dumb. She's not like, oh my god, you guys are so funny. She's not doing any of that stuff. She's just like, hey, what up? I'm Violet Nacho. What's up? She'll just make herself into something that's like hideously ugly with boobs. You know, like she just
right.
there's nothing like over sexualized about it.
Rebel says more to come on Monday with those pictures too.
Oh yes, this made my day.
He's making Opie reactivate his Instagram, and he says, "I'm a solid 6." No, you're a 10, buddy.
10 out of 10.
You flaunt that stuff, work it and own it.
It was so great.
What? How do I want to put this? In you being married, and I'm married and stuff, so it's trying to find that. And you have a daughter. Well, mine's older now and everything, so it's a little different. But how do you find that balance with doing what your hobby and what you love, and spending time with the family and everything? I mean, I know that the hubster there has to be very understanding and very supportive of it as well, to take on that stuff too as well.
Yeah, he's always been kind of like a supportive person, but we're also like 3 almost like roommates in the household where we all like our private time.
Okay.
Like Nugget as well. She's completely content reading in her room for if you left her to her own devices aside from food. She'd come out over after like 10 hours. She has no problem playing video games and chilling by herself. So like we like spending time with each other. We watched like The Mandalorian recently and things like that, like watching.
So good.
Oh, Baby Yoda though.
Did you hear real quick?
Yoda.
Sorry to veer off, but did you hear that Disney lost millions of dollars because of Baby Yoda?
Because they didn't get merch out in time?
Yeah, because they couldn't, because they were trying to keep everything under wraps, and they couldn't get it out in time for the holiday season because they didn't want to break it and have everybody know what was going to happen.
Yeah, and it was one of those things where I was like, there's got to be merch. There's got to be. Like, it just blew my mind that they would drop the ball. I'm like, who got fired over that?
Right.
Because if they had $200 worth of Baby Yoda stuff, I would have bought all of it.
Yeah.
I would have bought all of it, and I would have bought duplicates for other people. Like, I have, like, a genuine, like, heavy, like, protective feelings over this thing that doesn't actually exist. But I still, like, feel so strongly that, like, nobody is allowed, like, I want to punch a stormtrooper just because, you know, like they showed malice towards Baby Yoda. Like,
Opie, we're not giving away any spoilers, we promise. You're on episode 6, so you know Baby Yoda's there. Everybody knows Baby Yoda's there. That's all we're talking about.
Yeah, that's all we're talking about. We're not saying anything that happens in any way.
But I want them to finally reveal what the species of Yoda was, and that's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for that name, for them to say, this is what they are. You know, because you never know.
Yeah, and even when they like talk to other people, I won't give out like who they talk to or anything like that. But when they talk to other people, they're like, "Yeah, I got no idea. I'm sure there's more out there.
Right.
I don't know what it is."
Let me ask you, or we'll continue with your point. I'm sorry, we veered off because of Baby Yoda.
Oh yeah, but like they're very private people, so they're very content being by themselves. Like nobody in my household is needy for attention other than the dogs. So as long as the dogs are being taken care of, everybody's pretty fine. Like a Nugget needs a normal amount of like hugs and things like that, but it's not like I've never once had Hubs be whiny that I'm not giving him enough time or attention, even when I'm gaming or things like that. Right. I mean, he did have a period where I was playing so much ESO that every time he walked by, I'd flip it off. But like, other than that, it was never like a thing. If he were to say like, "Hey, will you turn that off? We'll go hang out." I'm like, "Yeah." Like, it's always who's been first priority or she's been first priority, but they don't push it.
I'll be back, but if I'm not in time, Rabs, remind Dara to upload the pod. Yes, I'm going to download it and then upload it to you after the pod's completed. I promise. It'll be tonight. You'll have it. I promise. What was I gonna say? So you mentioned about the Mandalorian. Now, are you a Star Wars fan?
I am, but I'm not Star Wars obsessed. I
Okay.
enjoy them, but I'm not up to date on like all of the lore, who everybody is.
I'm not either. I'm a fan of the movie series. I really haven't read any of the books and dove into that
Me
and
either.
everything. Did you see the Rise of Skywalker?
No, they went and saw it without me, and I'm still a little bitter. Because I told them I wanted to see it, and I was at work one day, and I was getting out at like 1. And I got home, and they weren't home, and they wouldn't answer the phone, and I was like, over break. And then they come walking in, and I was like, what'd you guys do? They're like, we went and saw Rise of Skywalker, and I was just like, doubles. What's wrong with you guys? It was like the one thing I said I wanted to see.
Wow. So you still have not seen it?
I have not seen it.
Oh, you have to.
Did you enjoy it?
I watched it, and I will tell you this, is that there's a part in it that I was like, I was tearing up.
I cried bad.
My wife, I drug my wife there because she's not really a Star Wars fan at all. But I was like, I don't want to go see it by myself. Will you come with me? She's like, fine. I'm like, I owe you one. We'll go see whatever you want. I promise. But I want to go see this movie, and I want somebody to come with me. So she agreed to come, and she was just sitting there staring at me intently because she knew, and it was just like I was welling up and everything. And I won't say anything about it. What it is. I'm not saying anything, Angel. I'm not saying anything about what happened. I'm just saying I almost cried. I almost cried. And we just talked about it afterwards, and she's like, oh, I get it. And then she actually said, she goes, it kind of makes me want to see the other ones, because she didn't really saw the other ones. She saw, 4, 5, and 6, but she's never saw, The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi. She hadn't seen those. And then she was always one to say, Adam Driver's just ugly. He's just ugly. And then she watched Rise of Skywalker, and she's like, I thought he was kind of hot in that one.
Yeah, it's amazing how I think women have that even, I don't know, just as as a general rule, that sometimes somebody that's just like when I remember back in the day, they would be like, why was Angelina Jolie with Billy Bob Thornton or whatever? There's something to I think inherently women are prettier, fair enough to say, so aesthetically pleasing. And I was trying to explain that to Nugget one time, because she said to me, I don't think I'm attracted to anybody. I think that
just wait, honey.
I know, she's like, I think I'm asexual. And I was like, okay. So when I was little, I thought that I grew up in a hairdresser household, so I was completely familiar with gay, lesbian, everything. So I thought I must be lesbian because females look prettier to me. And then hormones kicked in, and all of a sudden I thought all the things I thought were disgusting, like body hair and these big sweaty men, were really awesome. I went through this thing where all of a sudden I was like, oh damn. So there's something that turns women on, I think, about men, even if they're not aesthetically pleasing necessarily in the face. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where, so she was like, I'm like, just give it time. You'll see what hormones will do to your brain, and then all of a sudden you're gonna be like, those hairy creatures with penises are kind of hot.
Akuma, thank you for hanging out, man. I really appreciate it. Go get your new battery. Go charge your phone and whatnot. We really thank you for hanging out, man.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm not telling you anything, Angel. I'm not saying anything. And Marina says it was good, worth the theater price. Absolutely. Those types of movies, there's some movies that I really want to see, but I'm like, I don't need to see that in a theater. I'll wait, for it to come out. But movies the Star Wars movies, the Marvel movies and stuff, I need to see those on the big screen with the sound system and everything else, and just be engrossed into the whole thing. That's just what going and seeing Endgame. It was there was no doubt about it. I was seeing that in the theater, and we went and saw it Thursday night when it came out too, because I was like, I am not having to be on a social media ban for a couple of days. I'm like, I need to see it then. And that, I mean, and I'm sorry guys if you haven't seen it already. Guess what? It's on Disney Plus. You should have watched it already. But that ending of that movie was just I love you 3000. It was just God. It was just amazing, that whole ending and that. Let's see. Haven't seen it yet either. What? You haven't seen Endgame, or you haven't seen Star Wars? Because if you haven't seen Star Wars, then there is Star Wars. Cool, I understand that. But if you haven't seen Endgame yet, well then come on, bro. we can't be friends if you haven't seen that yet. Thank you, Panic, for the 2 ice creams. I appreciate it. No worries, Panic. So I haven't seen it. No. I'm on the first Avengers. Come on, Rabble.
We wanted to do that where we did the chronological order of all of them if you actually did it, not in the order they were released, but the actual chronological order of each one. But when you look it up, I mean, there's like 20 movies.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I don't have like a 60 hours of free time before Endgame comes out. Like, so this isn't going to happen. So we immediately started doing it where we were eliminating like, okay, do we really feel strongly about Captain America, or do we really feel strongly about Incredible Hulk? Like, we had to make cuts,
right?
You know, and kind of just watch a couple of them beforehand.
Well, I tried to go through before Rise of Skywalker. I went through the movies in chronological order, not order they came out. So I started with Episode 1 and went through and even threw in Rogue One in there. I didn't watch Solo, but I got up to Return of the Jedi before I was just like, oh my god. Oh my god! Like, this is a grind. You want to talk about a grind in a video game? No, that's a grind going through all those movies.
All those movies. Well, and I think with Mandalorian, it's going to lend itself to like even as I was watching it, I was like, "Ooh, this is totally rewatchable."
Right.
You could just get the feeling of it the whole time that you're missing details. That'll make more sense.
Isn't this supposed to be between Jedi and Force Awakens?
I believe so. Yeah, I think they said it was. I forget how many years it is after Jedi.
All right, I'm looking it up right now. When does Mandalorian take place? Star Wars years. Return of the Jedi is set in 4 ABY after the Battle of Yavin. The Force Awakens is set in 34. The Mandalorian takes place around 9 ABY. So it was in between there, but it's yeah, okay. So they gave themselves a lot of time in between they could go on for a while doing it. But I think they did a phenomenal job with it. I really do.
Yeah. Even just like the kawaii-ness of that Baby Yoda. Like I haven't met a single person that isn't like, oh, like my hubs was like, you guys make auditory noises whenever that thing comes on the screen. Because Nugget and I would both just be like, every time it came on.
I love the little video memes that have come out where they show him pressing the button and it's like playing music. Music that he hasn't even, like, he shouldn't even be listening to. My favorite one is when they show the Mandalorian ship flying in and it's playing Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas. And you hear it and Baby Yoda presses the button and it's Sandstorm that was just.
I saw one today that was just Baby Yoda. It was still photographed, but you know those like tube play things like Chucky E. Cheese or whatever, but they would have them at McDonald's and stuff like that. And there was like the little bubble window one, and he was up on that, and it was like 6-year-old me watching my mom as she screams her head off about beating my ass for not coming out of the tube. And I was like, totally, like the look on his face is just so relatable that everybody thinks about it as being
right. Let's see. Kaylee says, to be honest, Mandalorian is better than the new movies. I wouldn't say it's better than the most recent one, because the most recent one was pretty damn awesome. And the thing about it is that what I found is that people who are a fan of the original 3 love this movie because it kind of ties everything up at the end, and you feel good about it, you know. Whereas I think it
feels complete.
I guess you could say the millennials, those kids and everything are kind of like, it doesn't give and it's like, no, you don't understand. This plays to like the childhood. This plays to like everything you know about Star Wars, not the first 3, you know, not even, you know, Force Awakens and Last Jedi. This just plays to the core value of it all. And that's what was nice about having Abrams back at the helm too.
I just know that I'm a messy crier, and the idea that you almost cried, it'll be bad scene, man. I'm like a hyperventilator. I turn bright pink. Like it's a scene. It's to the point where I cry so much easier than even Nugget does. So like if something's kind of sad comes on, they're both just like looking over at me to see if I'm gonna start losing it, because like.
But see, I'm a big sap though. I cry at movies. Like I cried at The Notebook.
Never saw it.
I saw it in the theater and I cried because I was
I
just
have like an aversion to romance movies. As much as like I would want to read books about people
right.
laughing, for some reason, like romance movies, like my favorite genre of movies, 90s action movies.
Okay.
Like I love like Total Recall and Predator and like
Last
like those
Action
are
Hero.
like I never saw Last Action Hero.
You can't
All
call
right.
yourself a '90s action hero fan. You can if you have not.
What's it?
You can.
What's it even about? I don't even remember that one.
Arnold Schwarzenegger is a an action movie star on the screen, and the kid goes to watch the movie, and he gets like this golden ticket. And what happens is the movie kind of comes alive, and Arnold Schwarzenegger comes through, and then he's like the last action hero. So he's thinking he's living in the movie and trying to do stuff, and it's like, no, you can't do that here. You can't.
That's kind of cute.
Yeah, it was a good movie. I liked it. It was cheesy, but it was still good.
See, I'd rate that as comedy though, based on your description.
It's still action though because they blow shit up.
Yeah, like Predator blows, like
Yeah.
killing drug dealers and you have them skinned in the jungle. I mean, like, yeah, good stuff.
Yeah.
That's
But
the good.
okay, so what's your favorite Schwarzenegger movie? First favorite Schwarzenegger action movie. So that way we take Twins, we take Kindergarten Cop out of it.
Right. I would have to go with Predator. Predator's probably my favorite.
Yeah?
The scene where they're in the helicopter and it's just all red and there's like, um, what's his name? Wrestler guy.
Oh, Jesse the Body Ventura?
Yes. And they're in there and then like the one guy's just dry shaving and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Like there's so many like parts of that movie where it's like it instills like a feeling
Right.
that's a little bit more in depth than other ones.
My favorite is still Commando. I love Commando.
Commando's good.
I could watch Commando over and over and over again. Wait,
Yeah.
you said you're gonna kill me last. I lied.
Well, if you had one movie that you could watch over and over and over again, what would it be?
Braveheart. That's my
Braveheart's your
all-time favorite
favorite?
movie. All-time favorite movie. Doesn't matter
Nice.
how many times I watch it. Every time he yells freedom, I get chills. Every single
Yeah.
time.
Have you ever heard the real story of him?
Yes. Yes.
Messed up.
It's very messed
They
up.
did some horrific stuff to that dude.
Yeah, and like the stuff they put in the movie just romanticized everything that happened. In it.
Yeah.
But
I went to a trip to London and they put us in the holding cell and stuff like that where he was.
Oh, really?
And showed us where everything was. Yeah.
That'd be.
And it wasn't like a
freaky.
Braveheart. Yeah. It's like it's small.
Right.
It's like a small little thing, and you're probably in there with more than one person. And like, so we did a tour called Sinister London. So they took you to, you did a lot of pit stops. A lot of them were bars and stuff like that. But like, we were sitting in a bar, and they're like, you just think it's a pit stop that's like paid by the people. And he's like, we brought you here because this is where the last victim for Jack the Ripper was. And I mean, like everything had like a sinister tie-in.
Wow.
And that was part of it was the Braveheart part. It was like that one game. It was like you sat in there and your stomach turned being
Right.
in the cell.
Now I know that there's a series on Netflix that I have to go and watch because I know of it and I haven't watched it yet, but it was all about Robert the Bruce from there too, and about his whole story arc and everything. It was I think it was like 10 episodes or something like that, and I have to go back and watch that because I think it was Chris Pine is in it.
Okay.
And I want to go back and see it.
Yeah, I haven't watched it, but I've seen like the previews
Yeah.
for it. They have a good documentary series on there that's about British castles and Irish castles.
Mm-hmm.
And they just like there's just two dudes. One's a different guy for each one, and they basically just walk you through different things that happen at each castle.
Okay.
And it is horrific stuff what people will do to each other.
Oh yeah.
There is horrific stuff that people did, and so but it is like it's very interesting
Oh, absolutely.
history wise and stuff like that.
What about you? You could watch one movie for the rest of your life.
I would say the one that I catch myself watching, even no matter how many times it's on, is Jaws. And
Yeah.
it's another one of those things where it's like it's not about the like when I was a kid I watched it and it was about the horror and the shark and like all this stuff. But my favorite character in it is actually Quint,
Yep.
the shark hunter guy.
Mhm.
Like he just is such a dynamic character, and so like I always watch that. And then like Richard Dreyfuss's character is such like a whiny irritant and stuff like that. It's just like there's like I thought that the character depth was really cool in it when you watch it as an adult.
Right.
When I watched it as a kid, I was like, cheesy shark movie and it sucks, but like as an adult and you understand the adult themes and stuff a little bit better, I liked it more.
Right. I like the new one. Yeah, the Angel goes, he's the last action hero. We were talking about Schwarzenegger. Opie says Rogue One is probably my favorite movie in the series, which that was great. I love that. I especially love the ending of Rogue One and seeing Vader just kicking ass. And then you just see Leia get away. It's a great movie. The actors played Han and Lando were great. Let's see. Angel says Last Blood. I think he's talking about Rambo, the most recent Rambo. Rebel says favorite movie, Grease. Okay. Take the Crown. Not my favorite, but most all-time watch movie is Grandma's Boy. I'll go to the loony bin with you. I don't give a fuck. I love Grandma's Boy. Grandma's Boy is so funny because it's all of Sandler's friends without Sandler doing a movie, and it's all about the one guy. Do you see 50 First Dates?
Yes.
10 Second Tom.
Oh, okay.
He's the main character in Grandma's Boy. He ends up staying with his grandma, and he's a video game designer. So that's what it's all nerds and video game designing and everything else, and it's just hilarious. You have to watch it, and they get high all the time too in it, so it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Maria says would be a super cool tour to go on. Opie, I don't rewatch movies, so I guess I would have to say Zombieland is the only movie I've watched more than 3 times. Wait, I could probably watch Aladdin original for the rest of my life. Yes.
I would also have to put Step Brothers in there for comedy. I could rewatch Step Brothers on a daily basis, I think. And Big Lebowski is one of those ones where it kind of has like a soft spot for me, where I really enjoy it. Like that's another one where the subtleties are where it really gets you. Where it's just like John Goodman's just like, I'm drinking my coffee. I'm gonna enjoy my coffee because his friend is just flipping out and he's just like slowly sipping coffee.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Like, or he tries to do like a dupe and he's like, what was in the case? And he's like, my whites, the underwear. Like, it's just like, I like that one. But like,
they gave him the ringer.
Yeah, give him the ringer. Like there's or like even just, we drop things around the house when we're just walking around or whatever. And one of them is just like when they walk in, the one guy has like he's in an iron lung.
Yep.
And the maid's just like, he has health problems. Like, yeah, I bet, lady. Like, he's in an iron lung. It's about but it's just like, I love those. Like, this is what happens. Our dog's name's Larry. So we're like, this is what happens, Larry, every time he does something bad.
This is what happens when you fuck a stranger in the ass.
Exactly. That's what happens, Larry.
I love that movie. Did you see that there's a Jesus spinoff movie?
No.
Yes, John Turturro is doing it where he gets out of jail and everything else, and it's like a whole movie just centered around Jesus.
Like, what, the ball washing scene?
I'm just like, nobody fucks with the Jesus.
So good.
Nobody.
It's so good. So go click, click, click.
Did you try any of that bullshit pulling your piece out of the lane? I'll snatch that shit up from you, stick it up your ass, and pull the trigger till it goes click. Jesus. Yep. That's right, man. Nobody fucks with the Jesus.
That's when you know, like, a movie's so good that you talk about it and your cheeks hurt because you're just like dying.
I need the shirt that says "I talk in movie quotes" because I do. People will not. People will not play "Seen It" with me because I watch movies and I just have this abundance of random stupid knowledge of movie quotes and that.
And I feel like I plug into the ones that other people will drop a quote and I'm like, what's that from? And it'll be like the biggest quote of the movie, but I pick up on the weird stuff that nobody else was paying attention to. Like, yeah, Step Brothers, when he's like, we have so much room for activities.
Right.
Like, they made the bunk bed just about to crash and kill one of them.
Why'd you let us do that? It was such a bad idea. There's blood everywhere. There's this little scar.
Yeah. That makes you want to watch it right now.
Let's see. Wedding Crashers is such a good movie. Although Step Brothers, Wedding Crashers, old school. Marina says favorite movie for me would be Labyrinth. Labyrinth is a great movie.
It's a good movie, yeah.
Take the Crown, call me dragon. Now I want you to paw at each other, and it's like 2 dragons going at it. Happy Gilmore's got shiz. Oh yeah, Happy Gilmore. It's a classic. Yes, all of Adam Sandler movies. Opie, you have to take that back. You cannot say that. All of Adam Sandler movies are not classics.
Yeah, he's had some rough patches.
Jack and Jill was a horrendous movie. Punch Drunk Love was stupid. I really want to go and see Uncut Gems, so I'm really hopeful that that's going to be really good.
I've heard good things.
What are you doing, having looking for the other half of this bottle? Oh, there's some there, and there's some there. That is not why everybody remembers Bob Barker. I remember Bob Barker from The Price is Right.
Yeah, Bob Barker's what you'd watch when you were faking being homesick.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, you knew that you scored it because like it came on at like 11 o'clock, and if you got to watch Price is Right, your mom wasn't going to send you to school anyway because it was already about the half day.
Yep.
So that was your like golden skate across the finish line. And so you knew that if you got to watch Price is Right,
Yep.
no way mom's going to be like, you're bullshitting, get in the car, we're going. You know, like.
And then you had 2 hours for your mom to watch her stories.
Yeah.
And then you got to get cartoons after that.
Yeah. Then you got to the good stuff.
Right. So you had to survive those 2 hours, which said, all right, I'm going to go take a nap.
Yep. Or if you were lucky enough to get like big bucks, no whammy, stop.
Yep.
Like sometimes that would be on
Press the luck. Love Press the Luck.
Yep.
Wow. Just cruising along here. Does anybody else have any more questions for Kate? Because man, we've been going at. I think we've been talking about movies and stuff for like a half hour now. I could talk movies forever though myself. Well, Kate, while we're waiting here, let's see. Why don't you go ahead and talk to the people? Give any more parting words and everything. And we went ahead and put your links out there. I'm going to go ahead and keep doing that and get the rest of them, get them out there again for everybody to follow.
Yeah, no, thanks. I just wanted to thank everybody for coming out. It was awesome. It's really made me feel loved. I was shocked when I got the message that you guys picked me. So I really appreciate this, all of it. Yeah, and especially for you taking the time, Diehard, to actually.
Oh, believe me, it's easy to talk to somebody like you. Know, it's just having a conversation. It's the best thing in the world.
Yeah.
Oh, Rebel says, are you enjoying Supforce and anything we could do differently?
No, I love it in there. So far, it's like one of those things where I haven't met a bad person. You know how like so as a female joining a Discord, typically the first thing that happens is you join a Discord and you get 4 messages that say hi from weird random troll guys that are just like, hi.
Right.
That never happened with Supforce. And I think it's just like a general vibe that you guys put out there that like, I don't know, everybody's valuable or something. I don't know. It's just what it was. But it's just like I haven't met a single person in there that I was like, I don't care for this one. Every single person's been like really supportive, and they seem to be supportive towards each other, and they don't seem to get caught up in petty bullshit. Maybe because I don't get to see your guys' end of it, of being like the admin side, and nobody complains to me. But I also don't see it just like bickering in chat or anything like that. I don't get any negativity at all from it.
Well, I mean, realistically, just speaking from the admin side, is that there's really not that much. There really isn't. I mean, in any Discord, you're going to have, bumps along the road and that. But I mean, honestly, we really don't see a lot of that. Except for 1-800-BITCH-TO-RABS, right, Rabble? And
so far I haven't had any. Like, I haven't had any static. I haven't had anybody that has made a rude comment. Not even just to me, but to anybody else that I've seen.
Right. Well, I completely understand what you're talking about because I've seen it in other Discords where a female comes in and you know that they're a female and they're like, "Hey guys, what's up?" And all of a sudden it's like, "Hey, what's going on? Where are you from? What do you do? What do you look like?" Blah, 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 blah. And you're just like, "Dude, give it a minute, Why don't you get to know her and talk to her first?"
Yeah, and if they want to talk in normal chat, that's not usually the ones that are weird ones. It's usually the private messages that you start getting where you're like, and they do it to every female that they come across and in every chat, but like I never had anything that was even remotely unpleasant in Supforce.
Well, I have a real quick question for you because you mentioned you have a Snapchat. Now, do you give that to like your followers and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you put out your makeup and everything out there?
Yeah, a lot of times most of the snaps will be like announcing when I'm going live, or just random. That's more likely to be just like random stuff throughout my day. So like if you're gonna be like, I don't take a lot of pictures of my food or anything like that, but like I'm not really like I don't know.
So have you had any bad messages, direct messages?
No, I haven't, and I get very few that cross the line.
Okay.
Most of the time, people are just putting out feelers, and I kind of put out a like, married vibe.
No.
Yeah, like very like, okay, sounds good, dude. Like it's one of those things where it's like typically you call a guy dude, and he shuts right down for doing that. But like, Yeah, and I get very few trolls. I get very, like, it's very low drama for me, but I think it's probably they get a pretty strong vibe that I'm just like,
Right.
I don't want to see your penis.
Do you start the dirty dancing thing. This is my space. This is your space. Do not come into my space.
And start doing the, like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, very, very good. Kate, it's been a pleasure having you on the pod.
Thank you.
It's been amazing to talk to you, get to know you a little bit better. Please, everybody, we've put the links out there. Make sure you follow her on Twitch, on Twitter, on Instagram. I have seen her pictures of her next set that's going to be coming out of her makeup, and let me tell you something, it is amazing. I'm just going to tell you two things: UV and aquatic life. That's all I'm going to say.
Those will be posted tomorrow.
It'll be amazing. So make sure you hit her on those follows, hit her on the Instagram, hit her on the Twitter, hit her on the Twitch, and follow her. And please, please, please show her the love and support that we do here at Support Force. If you're out there and you're not a member of Support Force, make sure you click the banner down in my descriptions down below. Go to the website, read up about us, join the Discord. You will not be sorry you did it. Trust us. It is a family. We are amazing. So, as we say all the time, just remember, everybody, and this is what everybody's waiting for. Everybody waits for this at the end of my streams. Just remember, everybody, that happiness is a state of mind, peace, love, and financial security to all. If you're going to have sex, wear a condom. Help control the pet population. Have your pet sprayed or neutered. And remember, as always, stay blessed. Have a great night, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
You can unmute yourself. This is what everyone loves, is the after pod banter between us.
Yay!
You did so good. You did awesome.
Thank you.
I hope
I
you.
tended to get overexcited and interrupt. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're fine.
I'm so excited to talk about stuff.
No, it was awesome. It was awesome talking to you. It was a great vibe. You know, it's one of the best ones because, like I said, when you just have the conversation, you can go off in any direction that we talk about. Like I said, we talked for a half hour about movies. You know, not even about that. And it's just getting to know you and what likes and dislikes are, and just a general idea of who you are. Because when you just have those conversations, it just comes out like that, and it's not a bad thing at all. So I think you're wonderful in it. I think you're